In this first episode of our subscriber videos for October, we look at some very real paranormal experiences our viewers have witnessed. We love these videos as it gives the Top 5's audience a chance to tell their stories, some of which are backed up by video and photographic evidence, and we would like to thank all of you who take the time to send them in. All that's left to do now is hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy 5 real creepy encounters experienced by our awesome viewers. Para-Evident. This clip was sent in to us by Para-Evident, a paranormal research team from Arkansas who we've featured before. We like them as their pledge is to never put up anything fake. All the footage they capture they believe to be genuine. This time the team were investigating team member Robert's apartment, which is located in the historic part of Rogers, Arkansas. Robert has been experiencing some unusual things happening in his home ever since the team investigated the Montagny Hotel, an abandoned building in Arkansas reputed to have links to satanic rituals. During that exploration, the team believed they caught a shadow figure in the window of the ruined structure, so first we'll take a look at that footage.
Dear Darla is the story of a young woman who went missing back in the 80s. It's been said that she stares out the window at people who come out to the old ruins. The first 2 pictures were taken over a year ago. The ones following are of our night at the old hotel. Do you see what I see?
After witnessing that presence, Robert went home and experienced a series of unexplained events, and believed that something from the hotel may have manifested in his home. The first incident occurred when he was standing in the bathroom, and a horrifying hand with claw-like nails came out of the darkness and tried to grab him. Robert jumped back, and whatever it was disappeared. On another occasion, he was laying in bed trying to sleep when he saw what looked like a black figure just standing over him in his room. Out of fear, he covered his head with the blankets, and then felt like someone sat down next to him on the bed. He quickly pulled the covers back, but nothing was there. Other strange things have occurred, including lights flickering and electronics shutting off out of nowhere. Robert got so freaked out, he decided to call the team in to investigate, and this is what they captured. Take a look.
Yeah, they stopped, baby. Yeah, they stopped, baby.
Did you see that there was definitely something? The team have no idea who or what that was, but are convinced it's linked to the Montagny Hotel investigation and the strange activity Robert is experiencing in his apartment. What do you think? If you want to check out the Para-Evident channel, a link is in the description of this video. Gamekeeper ghost in woods. This next experience was sent in by Michael. When Michael was around 11 years old, he and his mother's ex-partner, who we'll call X, went to collect some firewood for his mum's aunt in a wooded area near Rousham in Oxfordshire, England. It was around 4 PM in winter time, so it was beginning to get a bit dusky. They arrive in a van and start loading up the wood. When they finish, they decide to have a little wander, and they walk along a trail that a local farmer has cut through the trees. As they venture deeper into the woods, Michael glances around and sees a man standing ahead of them, pointing a rifle at something. Slightly alarmed, Michael calls to the man, but there is no response from him. Michael looks back at X and asks him if he could see the man, and he nodded. Michael continued walking until he was just a few feet to the right of the man, and he continued to call out but got no answer. The man appeared almost statue-like, and greyish in colour. There was no movement from him at all, just a blank expression on his face and a piercing stare. When he glanced back at X, he noticed the colour had drained from his face, and he had a look of panic in his eyes. At that moment, X freaked out and started to sprint away. Michael called him to stop, but he kept on running. When the two calmed down, they cautiously walked back to where they first saw the figure, but he was gone. He had vanished without a trace. It's worth pointing out that if he had walked or run away from the scene, Michael and X would have heard him, as every dead twig and leaf crunching underfoot echoed around those woods. As the two walked back to the van, X grabbed Michael and told him not to mention what had happened to anyone. Michael did as he was told, but the incident stayed with him. Not long after, X and his mum split up. Then about 20 years later, Michael bumped into X and they began talking about what happened that day. Both men recalled the same thing, so Michael knew it wasn't just a childhood imagination. Michael has a clear memory of the man, who was around 50 to 60 years old with a curly mustache, dressed in some sort of old uniform. After doing some research, Michael found out that the area is reputed to be haunted by the apparition of an old gamekeeper who is said to still patrol the woods and countryside, carrying his shotgun, apparently not realizing he is long dead. Could it have been the ghost of the gamekeeper that Michael witnessed as a child? What do you think? Bogdan. Bogdan sent in this next photo. He lives in Transylvania in Romania, and on a visit to the notorious Hoia Baciu forest, he thinks he captured something lurking behind a tree. Now, we have featured Hoia Baciu forest before, as it's been labelled the world's most haunted forest. The forest covers thousands of acres and is often referred to as the Bermuda Triangle of Romania. The paranormal activity and events that have taken place there are plentiful, ranging from ghost sightings, unexplained apparitions, faces appearing in photographs, and even UFO encounters. And over the years, legends of the forest have been passed through the generations, making locals fearful of entering the area. What puts this forest on another level is that it's not just visitors who seem to be affected by whatever is going on there. The vegetation often grows with strange unexplained appearances, and there is even an almost perfect circle deep in the woods, where vegetation simply will not grow at all. The soil has been analysed, and there is no reason why this could be happening, and many believe this circle, deep in the forest, is home to the paranormal forces that haunt the place, so it has quite a reputation. While on Friday the 20th of August 2021, some of Bogdan's friends were visiting him and wanted to see the forest, so they went there that afternoon. Bogdan had visited the forest before, but had never had any creepy encounters or witnessed paranormal events, except for the feeling of being watched. The friends ended up deep into the forest, with the purpose of getting to the round meadow, which is the weird part of the forest where trees do not grow. On the way there and the way back, they took photographs and videos of the trees, joking around that they may capture something. The next morning, Bogdan decided to post some scenery pictures to his Instagram and wanted to include one from the forest, but when he looked through the photos, he noticed an unusual form that didn't look like a tree trunk. When he zoomed in, he got creeped out by something that looked very much like a human, only that its head and arms seemed to be transparent. Bogdan has not edited anything in the photo except for adding the red mark. Now, has he actually captured something, or is this a case of pareidolia? What do you think? Jessica. Jessica has been plagued by paranormal activity in her home ever since her daughter was born 7 years ago. Here is her account of what has been happening. When Jessica brought her new baby home from the hospital, her and her partner started noticing small occurrences around their apartment, such as lights going on and off, things moving, and shadows on walls when no one was there. At first they chalked it up to sleep deprivation with a newborn. However, things got weirder when one night Jessica was up around 2 a.m. rocking her daughter, and she watched a loaf of bread fly off the top of the microwave onto the middle of the floor in the kitchen. A few days later, Jessica awakened around the same time, only to find her fiancé was there too, and the same thing had happened. Bread flew off the microwave and hit the floor. Having him witness the same thing proves she was not going crazy. From then on, things got weirder. When Jessica and her fiancé first moved into the apartment before their daughter was born, one of the electric burners on the stove didn't work, but they never called to get it fixed because they never used it. However, after they brought the baby home, one night it randomly started working again and turned itself on to medium. They also started having brand new light bulbs just pop and stop working. Jessica said she never felt threatened, but thought that whatever it was just wanted to make its presence known. The family thought moving would stop the activity, but when they moved, it moved with them. About a year later, they moved again to a house a close friend had been living in without incident, but all the same occurrences happened. And even things like light switches themselves would stop working or refuse to work for days and then start working again, a problem the owner swore had never happened before. Next, the family moved to Phoenix, Arizona, a completely different state, but yet again all the same things happened. At this new house, a wall plug exploded and almost caught the house on fire, and a large mounted mirror in the bathroom fell from the wall. After 2 years, they moved again to where they live today, and the activity continues. Fans will come on and off, dogs will bark at nothing, balloons float around oddly, and lights flicker in weird ways. In this house, Jessica managed to capture one of the incidents on video. At the time, their aircon was broken, so they had fans going in the house. Take note of the way the fan is facing when the door starts to move by itself. Pretty weird. Jessica and her family have no idea what has followed them since the birth of their daughter 7 years ago. They didn't have any relatives pass away close to her birth, and Jessica did some research to see if someone died around the time she was born in the hospital, and wasn't able to confirm that either. To this day, the activity persists, although it is good to know they do not feel threatened, just perplexed as to what is going on. If any of you have experienced anything similar, or have any answers for the family, I'm sure they would greatly appreciate it. Creepy Gerald mask. When Rob was a child, he owned a mask which he believed was haunted or otherwise sentient in some way. When he was 6 years old, his school day began with an announcement from his teacher that his class were going to put on a play for the school at the end of the week, telling the story of a popular children's book at the time, Giraffes Can't Dance by Giles Andre. Rob was chosen for the role of the giraffe, Gerald, and the class set to work that morning making masks for their roles. These masks were cardboard headbands with the animals' faces attached, and Rob's was a cute, nervous-looking giraffe face with 2 wide eyes. This is the character portrayed in Rob's mask. Rob loved the mask, and after the play he took it home with him and proudly displayed it on a shelf in his bedroom. That was when the mask began acting oddly. Whenever Rob was in his room, the mask would stare at him. It would actually turn on the shelf to face him and stare, and although Rob never witnessed the mask actually moving, at times he would start in the doorway looking at the mask, then take his eyes off it and cross the room, only to look back and see it again, having physically rotated to face him. The staring could have easily been chalked up to a small child's wild imagination. That wasn't until Rob experienced an event so vivid that he knew for certain he didn't imagine it. One day, Rob crossed the landing from his bedroom to the bathroom, leaving his bedroom door open. The shelf with Gerald on was perpendicular to the door, so if the doorway faced north, the shelf faced west. As he turned to close the bathroom door, there was Gerald. The mask had actually fallen askew on the shelf, snagging on an item so it wouldn't fall, and was looking right at him. Not long after, the house would undergo renovations, and Rob moved bedrooms to the larger room next door. During the moving process, Rob asked his parents to put a few things in the attic, the hatch for which was in his new bedroom. Gerald the mask was one of these things. Years later, Rob was asked to go up into the attic to fetch the Christmas tree. He'd forgotten all about Gerald, so he went up without a care. However, he got the shock of his life when he turned on the attic light, and there was Gerald sitting on top of a pile of boxes, staring at him once again. That was the last time Rob saw Gerald, and since then he moved 3 times and believes Gerald has got lost in the process. Rob is a grown man now, but often wonders about Gerald. He is a skeptic, but cannot dismiss what happened. All he hopes is that he never encounters Gerald again. Now, we'd love to hear if any of you have had any creepy memories from your childhood, from seemingly haunted objects. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget you can send in your own stories, videos and images to mystory@top5s.co.uk. And also remember that we'll see you right back here tomorrow for another creepy video.